Okay, in this video, we're going to look at Google Gemini and Nano Banana, and we're going to do some cool stuff. Basically, rebranding this entire channel. I'm going to develop kind of visual theme branding for this. That'll be what I use going forward to create new content. Now, for my money, Nano Banana is just insane in terms of the quality of video it puts out, the quality of imagery it puts out at the moment. Most folks are getting a Gemini subscription to use this. So Google have had a few different offers over this. They were offering me this for 30 Australian dollars a month at the start of the year. It's now more expensive. But unless you're using kind of the full suite of Gemini offerings, and you want to chat with Gemini the same as you would with Claude or ChatGPT, it may not be another subscription you want to pay for. I have not actually done much with Gemini in terms of chat. I probably should. I'm very much a Claude user at the moment. I do use ChatGPT as well. My hunch is Google are going to win on all this. I mean, Anthropic are doing great work at the moment, but Google, of course, have all the data, which OpenAI and Anthropic don't. And if you look at what they're doing with Nano Banana, it's clear that it's powered by every single image on the internet that they've indexed and fed into this thing to train, whether they admit it or not. But you can tell pretty quickly that Gemini is widely trained on everything on the internet. So yeah, I think Google is very much a not an underdog, but it has everything they need to win the AI battle in the short term. But we shall see. I'm getting off track. So if you're using Gemini, like, you can get about 3 images a day for free. So you can go, create image, describe what you want, hit go, it'll do it, and then you're going to get the images. But as I say, they really want you on Google AI Plus to do this. If you don't want to get a subscription, they've got this thing called Vertex AI Studio. This is in Google Cloud, so if you just search Google for Vertex AI, it's going to get you in here. Now, I don't know why, but everything in Google Cloud is a little bit complicated to set up. So the first time I went in, it's like add a billing account, and I already had kind of billing in from an old Firebase project I had. So it was a lot of mucking around. I think it should be easier if you're going in for the first time, because it will just be go in, set up your billing, whether it's credit card, PayPal, and then you're going to be in a pay-per-use scenario. So this is not going to be like the subscription plan for Google AI Plus, where you're just paying $30 a month and getting a certain amount of usage. This is going to be pay-per-use, so bear that in mind. I think I did about maybe 50, 60 images, probably on the lower side, maybe 50 images, and I racked up $5 pretty quickly. So this stuff isn't mega cheap, like compared to some other AI models. I use OpenAI's GPT Image 1 as well, and that ends up being about 10 cents an image for some of the cheaper stuff. So I haven't done the maths on how much an image is costing, but just bear that in mind. Like, if you're going to absolutely smash this for images, it would probably be cheaper to get the subscription. But if you're like me and you want to do a batch at a time, or you only need a few a month and you don't want to pay for the subscription, this is going to be the better option. The other reason this is much better is because it's got way more control than Google Gemini does, and it's not going to watermark the images like certainly the free Gemini does. I don't know whether the Plus plan does, and you can do way higher resolution. So we're going to play with all this now. So back to my channel. I want to do like a kind of 80s aesthetic. Big 80s fan, it's when I grew up. So I'm very much inspired by the work of artists like Drew Struzan, who did a lot of famous movie posters. So his art's incredible. I'm not going to put his images into Gemini, I know they'll already be in there. When I prompt it to do stuff looking like Drew Struzan, we'll see how it goes. But like the Back to the Future poster, one of his classics, some of the Star Wars stuff was Drew Struzan as well. Rest in peace. He died, I think, last year. And then images like this, I forget, Adventures in Babysitting, like, because it's in the 80s, like the styles of the haircuts and all that, that's kind of the aesthetic I want to go for. But with this twist in the, a lot of the content is going to be about modern stuff, AI, etc. So having this kind of 80s aesthetic to the branding, thumbnails, the channel is what I want, with this kind of weird twist where there's more modern concepts that we're all kind of used to at the moment. I suppose another thing I would lean on is kind of what I'd call synthwave as a genre. So if you go to Pinterest and type in synthwave, what's it going to come up with? It wants me to log it. I can click explore. Let's do that. Go away. Synthwave. If we type that in. So that's this kind of aesthetic. So it's also a very heavily stylized kind of 80s thing. You'll have seen these kind of images with the kind of, this sort of sunset, palm trees, etc. Like, this is synthwave. So I'm going to mix some of that in as well, and we'll see how we go. So let's go back to Vertex AI Studio, and I'm just going to start with me. So I've got a pic here, and in fact, what I might do, I'll just show you this pic because there's something funny about this pic. So this was a photo of me on holiday. It's maybe 5 years old, so you can tell me in the comments how well you think I am or aren't aging. But the top of this photo was actually cropped. So the top of my cap was not visible. So what I actually did was I went to Gemini and I went, hey, extend the top of this photo so my head's not cut off. So the entire top part of this photo is actually generated by Gemini already. So that's one of the key principles I want to kind of try and get across in this, in that you can get it to generate one image, download it, feed it back in and go, hey, now do something else. I've noticed in a couple of my tests you do get a little bit of a quality degradation, but there's ways around that we'll talk about when we get into the tooltip. So I'm going to work with this. So as you saw, I just dragged the image straight on there. And you can drag multiple on here. Like if I was going to be real cheeky and go, hey, I really want to, get the style of Drew Struzan, I could copy that in. But then you are very much the person who is using another artist's work to create something, which is kind of bad. So we're on a little bit of an ethical boundary of what I'm about to type in, which is going to basically be the same thing. But I'm certainly not going to be the person who drags someone else's art in here. And in fact, we might feed it with a couple of different people and see how we go. So I've dragged the image in. I'm going to click on Nano Banana Pro. I think you could do the same thing. No, I'm wrong. I thought there was an option under Tools. I'm getting it confused with the Gemini interface where you would see Create Image, and you need to select that for free Gemini. So we'll go Nano Banana Pro. Interesting. Okay, I am confused on the inputs here. Let me just do this. We'll go there. Interesting. So they generate an image of a woman sitting in a living room with a man. The man is wearing brown sneakers. The woman is wearing a red version of the sneakers. The woman is sitting in a white armchair with a blue suitcase next to her. So they've just pre-filled this with an example prompt. I haven't seen this before. I don't know why they've done this. But it's a really good example of what I was about to say, which is you can drag in loads of images or add loads of images. You've just got to hit that plus icon, upload, or you can even give it URLs. And feed it the context of images you want it to create. This is really important. This is how you get great results with Nano Banana Pro. Whether you're doing this through Gemini or whether you're doing it Vertex Studio, it's going to do the same job. So I'm going to drag my photo in as well. And up here, the first thing you want to do is mess with the model settings. Most important is you have Nano Banana Pro selected. you'll see there's these other ones. They don't give as good results as Nano Banana Pro at the moment. Output, image and text. I just set this to image, so I don't know the use case of why you would want image and text, but presumably you could go, hey, generate me an image and a description for it at the same time. Could be useful. Aspect ratio, this is really important. So you're going to need to know your aspect ratios for the size of the image you want it to create. Now, this is one of the key differences between this and Gemini. Gemini won't do this, or at least I haven't found a way to do this through the interface where you can go, hey, I want it portrait or landscape or square. So you've got that control under Vertex. So for this, I'm actually going to stick with 1:1 because I'm going to start with my avatar. So I want it 1:1. Now, next, output resolution. This is crazy. You can go up to 4K. Obviously, if you use this, it's going to cost more. So whatever the base cost is going to be for an image, let's say it's 5 cents, you can probably assume 2K is going to be nearer to 20 cents. I'd imagine it'd be a bit cheaper, but 2K is 4 times as big as 1K because you've got a square like that and you go 2K, you're essentially times it by 4. If you go 4K, you've gone 16. So the cost is going to massively increase depending on what you choose. What I'd advise you do, if you're mucking around, you're trying to find a style like I'm going to, and I haven't tried this yet, so I don't know what I'm going to get, is start with 1K. So start with kind of lower quality images and work up. Because once we've dialed in kind of the prompts for what's going to work for me, and it's going to be like a prompt template or guide I can use for subsequent images, then I can go, great, I want 2K, I want it in different aspect ratios, etc. Output format. I'm going to go PNG, highest quality. JPEG will compress, so I would do PNG. Person generation, I'm not sure what that is. I just leave it on allow all ages. Grounding Google search, I read about this. So this can search Google to influence what it does. I haven't actually tried turning this on because I'll be honest with you, it seems like they're already doing it. I've tried prompts where I've said, hey, do this, and it knows about things that you'd only get in a Google search. But you could play with that, see what it does. Region global, I've got no options there. There is something that's probably going to happen later where it gives us a quota exceeded message. And I'm going to tell you how to deal with that. I saw some Reddit threads about that, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't change any of these settings for the model. I just go with the defaults. System instructions. This is where I might come back later once I've developed kind of this style for how I want this to be done. And then minimap I haven't used. So basically the settings you want are here. Nano Banana Pro, image, aspect ratio, you pick what you want. Resolution, choose depending on what you want, but it's totally going to align with how much you end up paying. And then output PNG, and you're good to go. So let me type something here. I have no idea what I'm going to type, but I'll just take a second to think and get started. And in fact, what I might do is dictate this. So I've got Whisper up here. If you're not using it, it's very cool. Whisper Flow. This allows me to speak rather than type. Create me a YouTube avatar image based on the image provided. Whisper's doing its thing. We're now formatting your text. So what do I want to say here? I want an 80s synthwave aesthetic in the style of Drew Struzan and Paul Schipper's art. So this actually might trip the safety filter, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to send that. We'll just start there. And I'm probably not going to like what I get. That's fine. And then we've got kind of two options. So whatever it spits back, you can do an edit on the prompt and then just send it again, or I could just drag the image in and start all over again. Now, as you can see, it's having a good think, and then you got this timer icon down here. What I've been noticing, okay, there you go. So it definitely got the synth wave dialed in. I'm going to comment on this in a minute, and then let me just talk about what was happening while that was generating, because it was pretty quick. So you see that timer icon. I've seen that run for 5 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it just crashes out. You can't complete the image. I think they are getting absolutely slammed with people using this, because obviously there's third-party SaaS products that use this API. Plenty of people are coding against it. It seems to me like there's maybe a bit of a demand problem, because so many people want to use this. So sometimes you just won't get a result. I don't know if they charge you if they don't generate anything, because the AI data centers have still done the work to generate the image. Not sure. But I guess it's the price of admission at the moment that this is just something you've got to bear in mind. It's currently like 1 in Sydney, and this was very quick. So that me getting that quickly was pretty quick. At the weekends, that's when I see it slow. So time of day helps. But let's look at what it's done. So the background is absolutely perfect. Like it, if I was after kind of that level of stylistic synthwave stuff in the background, that's exactly what I wanted. In terms of what it's done with me, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's no way I can use this as an avatar. It's too detailed. Like once this is shrunk down small, it's going to be too. I think it's going to be too messy, and it's got text on it. So we want to cure all these problems. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. In fact, what I might try, let's do this, because this is a really good tip with AI in general. So if I go copy image, then I'm going to go over to Gemini, and I'm going to paste the image in Gemini. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Gemini how I can improve the prompt to get what I want. So I'm not actually going to create an image. I'm just going to feed an image in, which won't use anywhere near as much kind of AI power. I'm also going to copy the prompt and go in here and go, I am trying to create an avatar for my YouTube channel. This is the prompt I used to generate the attached image. I'm going to give it the prompt. And then I'm going to say the result is too detailed and does not have enough contrast between my face and the background. How could I improve the prompt? And I'm not going to ask it about the text because that's dead easy. Let Gemini have a think. It's not bad. I could use it, but I think it's just going to look like a purple mess. Like once it's small on YouTube, no one's going to be able to tell what it is. Drafting the revised prompts. This is a fantastic looking synthwave content, but your critique is spot on. Because YouTube, thanks. Techniques to change your prompt. Change the artistic medium. Force color separation. Specify lighting. Revise prompt option. Let's have a look at these. Clean and punchy graphic look. Create a YouTube avatar based on the provided image. I want an 80s synthwave aesthetic, but in a clean, bold graphic illustration style with smooth shading and reduced detail. Install sharp, high visual contrast. The face should be illuminated with a warm neon light and deep shadows. I'm not sure about the warm neon light because that could just get us back in into more contrasty image. Standing out clearly against a dark, cool tone sign and black synthwave background. Clean composition, no text. I'm going to try that because that actually sounds cool. So we'll do a couple of these. Pop that in. Drag the image back in. Doesn't really matter where you drag it. And all the same settings. Send it off. Let's read the next one while that's going. A simplified 80s poster. Create a YouTube avatar based on the provided image in an 80s retro wave aesthetic. Use a simplified 80s movie poster style. Subject should have a smooth feature without excessive textures or fine lines. Use dramatic ring lighting. Background should be dark to allow brightly lit face to pop. Unclouded, high contrast, no trick. I'm not going to use this one. Movie poster style to me just doesn't. That just doesn't work for a thumbnail, an avatar image that's going to be small, as it pointed out at the start. So I'm going to ignore that. Vector art approach. Again, I think I'm not going to do that. I don't want vector art. I do want something a little bit arty. Whoa! And ironically, that's exactly what I was just thinking of. So that's vector art. That looks terrible. So what did we write? On 80 but in a clean, bold graphic illustration style with smooth shading. So the smooth shading and the reduced detail would have done it. Ensure dark, high visual contrast should be illuminated with warm neon light. You see, I knew that neon light would get us in trouble. And deep shadows standing out clearly against a dark, cool tone sign and black synthwave background. Okay. I'm thinking this whole synthwave thing is actually getting us in trouble here because synthwave is just too sort of contrasty. Like this is going to work for some thumbnails and maybe the banner image, but for this avatar, I think I need to go with a bit more of a simple approach. So I'm going to try a third one. I'm going to go back to my original prompt. And I'm going to go, create me a YouTube avatar based on the image provided. I want an 80s aesthetic in the style of Drew Struzan or Paul Schipper's art. Let's go with that. So drop the synthwave thing completely, but keep the 80s part, and hopefully it will kind of do the art style of these guys, and we'll see what we get. Now, then I'm thinking, what am I doing next? So that logo is where this is going in YouTube. That's number one. Once I've done that, then I want to do the channel. Forget where it is. No, I was literally looking at it earlier. I forget the button, but anyway, where the banner is at the top of the channel, that's what I want to customize next. So that's going to be a bigger image. So that's one where I might dial up. Dear. So that's awesome. Look at that. So it's given me 2 sets of sunglasses. I actually quite like this, and it's given text. Do you know what? I might go with this. So I'm going to do an edit on this prompt. So I'm going to go back to this prompt. Create me a YouTube avatar image based on the image provided. No text. Don't crop the artwork. Okay, I'm going to feed it back in because I actually quite like this. So, like, what I'm doing here is this would send back my original image again, but chances are I could just get something completely different. So what's actually probably better to do in this case is use what they've generated and get them to edit it. So if you've got this, you can do a download, click that. I'll cancel out of that edit. I'm going to start a new prompt. And it's kind of completely different. So edit the attached, edit the image, remove the sunglasses on my head. I kind of like the sunglasses on my face. Remove the text and extend the artwork to the edge of the image. And this should nail it. Go downloads, there it is, drag it back in. It's probably actually a better way to do this rather than this whole download reuse, but we'll go with this. So sticking with these settings still, I'm going to stay in 1K. And to be honest, this one I could probably keep in 1K because it's just the avatar image. It doesn't need to be particularly high res. For the channel image, I'm definitely going to do that bigger. So we'll see what this gets, and then I think I'm going to wrap this up because it's given you the general idea. I'll probably do a follow-up video. I'm going to work a little bit more on styles, thumbnails, channel art, because I really want to create kind of a consistent style for this that I can just execute repeatedly for the thumbnails for the video. Plus my laptop is literally about to run out of battery. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Actually, no, not perfect. It didn't extend it to the edge. Shall I do it again or shall I go with that? Let's download it and upload it. It's going to be under my, I think it's going to be under my Google account. So I'll do that offline. So I'm going to see how that works. I know this is easily fixable. So it's missed that instruction, extend the artwork to the edge of the image. So what I want to say is be a bit more precise. Fill the artwork outside of the circle so it fills up the image, and then this should be good to go. So that gives you the idea. So this is exactly the same stuff as you could just do through normal Gemini, selecting create image. It's exactly the same. You get about 3 a day for free out of this. They're only going to be a certain res. They're going to be watermarked. If you want to do more, you're going to need Google AI+. If you want to do it more consistently, Vertex AI, Google's product, gives you all these options. You're going to have to set up billing. They are going to pay you. They are going to charge you for images. So I may well have, racked up, I don't know, 20 cents maybe, just to generate these 5 images. And you can see how quickly it is. You can see how quickly you end up creating a lot of images. So watch your costs. You can set up billing alerts under Google Cloud as well. If there's interest, I can create a video about that. But otherwise, this is the basics. This is how we now do image generation. Having done Photoshop for 30 years, it's a bit crazy, much like with coding, that we can have all this done for us, but that's where we are.